The average person lives just 30,000 days, and yet most people waste half of it working day and night. They miss out on irreplaceable moments with family, with their friends, and life experiences that they'll just never get back. We've helped hundreds of successful, high-achieving international families work out exactly when they've hit enough. And the truth is, many of them could have stepped back years earlier if they just knew exactly what to look out for. So in this video today, I'm going to show you the 10 signs that you can retire earlier than you might think. How to do it without sacrificing your lifestyle or your freedom, and how to confidently transition from the grind of working professional life without having to worry about the money. Before I get into the list, I want to talk about one big myth many people have in their heads about retirement, and that's to work until some magical normal retirement age like 65 or even older. Many people simply assume retiring early means they'll have to downgrade their lifestyle or drastically miss out financially. But in reality, most of the successful professionals are working much longer than they actually need to, simply because they never put in the effort or know how to run the numbers in detail. They're chasing a magic number in their heads without realizing what they're potentially missing out on, and that's making memories with their children, their grandchildren, trading in their health, their freedom, or opportunity to do the things that are really important to them. And most of the people that we're working with aren't chasing the private jet type of money. They simply want to pay for their kids' education, become mortgage free, be independent, continue earning, doing the work they wanted to do, and still have the time and energy left to actually enjoy life. So let's get into the 10 signs that you should retire earlier than you think, and you might find out you're actually much closer to retirement freedom than you imagined. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that we meet who assume they need a huge nest egg to retire without ever doing the maths on how much they actually spend. Knowing your monthly spending is one of the clearer signs that you're financially aware and might mean that you're closer to your retirement than you think. If you've already got this clarity, it means you're in control and much closer to retirement readiness than most. Pull together 6 to 12 months worth of bank statements or use an app to categorize your spending. It can be absolutely eye-opening and shows you where your priorities lie, as well as how close potentially you could be to retirement. If you've already done this and want to go a step further, we put together a simple retirement checklist that you can download using the link in the description below. Have you been focusing so hard on saving up to a certain number that you haven't considered how much of your expenses might disappear in retirement? This is one of the very first things that we check when someone asks if they are ready to retire. For example, let's say that right now you're spending $6,000 to support your monthly lifestyle, but $2,000 of that is going towards your mortgage. Once the mortgage is paid off, your required monthly income drops to $4,000, and that's a 33% reduction in what you need to live comfortably. Being mortgage-free means you're no longer tied to a fixed housing payment and that you can redirect that money into investments, travel, or just reduce the amount of income that you need to draw. We'd always strongly recommend you review your monthly needs with and without mortgages and loans. And if that's the only major costs left, you're probably closer to retirement than you think. Do you know at what age you can access your pensions? Many people assume that they can't touch their retirement savings until they're 65 or older. One client I spoke to recently realized at 55 he could access a portion of his pension without a heavy tax hit. Instead of working another 10 years in the grind, he simply transitioned to a 3-day work week, took a sabbatical every summer, and finally started writing the novel he'd been putting off for decades. He didn't actually retire, but he reclaimed a lot of his time. If you've reached an age or financial setup where you can legally or tax efficiently access your retirement accounts, then that's a sign that you've got options and big decisions to make. Take a close look at your pension access rules and available drawdown strategies. You might just be one smart decision away from unlocking an entire new phase of life. This is something I see all too often: professionals who have a plan, but who haven't planned for bad years or unforeseen circumstances. Let's say you've saved $1 million and plan to withdraw $40,000, 4% a year to live on. Now, imagine the market drops 20% right away after you retire. That $1 million is now $800,000, but you're still pulling out the $40,000 per year adjusted for inflation. Now, this is sequence of return risk. Bad timing can drain your savings much faster than you're expecting. If you've run the numbers, have guardrails in place, and built a plan that survives these kinds of shocks, With a war chest and family fortress, it's a strong sign that you're ready to retire. We'd advocated working with a financial life planner to modeling out 3 to 5 different what-if scenarios. And if your plan survives, no matter what, that's a real permission to consider stepping back and transitioning. Retirement doesn't mean stopping all income and living solely off savings. If you're already earning from rentals, dividends, royalties, or other income streams, then that's a sign your financial ecosystem doesn't rely solely upon your full-time salary. One law firm partner that I know had over $1 million of savings, plus 3 rental properties, and plans to continue consulting. Taking everything into account, he was in a very good position to retire at 54 years old. So add up all your different income sources that you're still going to receive post-retirement and use prudent capital market assumptions, and factor these into your planning instead of defaulting to a full salary replacement model. Many high earners make the mistake of betting their financial future on just a few stocks or a single market. If you've built a globally diversified portfolio across all the region, sectors, and asset classes, then it's a sign that you're investing on the second mountain of life with resilience in mind. I recently had one client concentrated heavily in tech stocks. When that sector dipped, his entire timeline for life got pushed back several years. He told me that he thought he was invested. He didn't realize that he was exposed. True retirement readiness isn't about bravado, it's all about balance and sensible risk management. Review your asset mix. If it's global and spread across all sectors, currencies, and asset classes, you could be much closer to retiring than you think. Most people assume that they're going to have the same energy in their 60s and 70s as they do today. But let's be honest, whilst medical science is indeed advancing, our knees and our hips probably aren't. If you're in good health, physically active, mentally sharp, with no major medical concerns, this time of life could be your optimal window to actually enjoy the retirement that you previously worked so hard in life towards. One client I know retired at 48, and he spent the first 2 years of this biking across Europe. He said to me, "I didn't retire because I was tired of work. I retired because I didn't want to waste the best years of my life in boardrooms when I could be on mountain trails." Factor in your current health into your retirement timeline and life strategy. Ask yourself, what experiences do I want to have whilst I'm still at full capacity to have them? Use that answer to guide your retirement timeline. Burnout is not a temporary phase, it's often a signal to change course. If you're waking up exhausted, counting down to weekends, or fantasizing about quitting mid-meeting, that might not just be fatigue, that could be life misalignment. One client I know was earning 7 figures and totally miserable. She told me that I felt I'd climbed the mountain and realized I hated the view. Fortunately, she retired at 46, took a 6-month sabbatical, and then started mentoring founders and investing in climate technology. If the only thing keeping you in your current role is habit or fear, it might be time to reassess. Burnout can be a signal, not a weakness, and if you've got the financial means to change course, maybe it's time to listen. Many people assume retirement leads to boredom because they've only planned to stop working, not to start something else. But retirement isn't about stopping, it's about shifting from obligation to intention. If you have a clear idea of what you do with more free time, travel, a passion, a project, family time, then that's a huge sign that you might already be ready. One client I know stepped away at 50, traveled with their partner, and then began mentoring and investing. He told me that he didn't retire to slow down, he retired to realign with what actually mattered to him. We often recommend that you write out your ideal week in retirement. If that's clear and exciting, you're likely emotionally ready to seriously think about making that shift. Many people brush off early retirement thoughts as just wishful thinking. But if the question, could I retire early, keeps on coming up, then that's not just random. It often means that your body or mind knows something your calendar hasn't yet caught up with. The very fact that you're watching this video is probably one of the clearest signs. People locked into the grind of their careers with full conviction don't spend time watching videos like this about retiring early. But you are, which means something in you is curious, or ready, or both. Take that thought seriously, run the numbers in detail, and if the idea still won't leave your head, then there's probably a reason for that. So you've seen the signs that you might be more ready to retire than you thought. But Knowing you're ready and making the right decision with that freedom are two very, very different things, because there's one choice that we see even the wealthiest families get wrong, one that they nearly all regret later. So, watch this video next where I break down exactly what that mistake is and how to avoid it.